evening. Police are poised to make a number of arrests as a direct result of last month's programme. Let's see if the response will be as remarkable tonight. Detectives are assembled here from all around the country and officers are manning incident desks back home. Should you see anything that jogs your memory tonight, they'll be waiting for your call.
Our three reconstructions tonight are the extraordinary abduction of an American coin dealer on his way to Heathrow Airport after a week's visit to London. An armed robbery on a security van in Southport. Red smoke poured from a money box as the men made their getaway. And the murder of Christoph Schliack from West London. He was a familiar sight in the area, wearing his habitual monocle, pocket watch and trilby hat. And Aladdin's Cave is back this month with property which may have come from burglaries all around the country. Perhaps something here belongs to you.
Our first case tonight is that murder in West London. Christoph Schliack was a flamboyant character who lived in a flat on Coverdale Road in Shepherd's Bush. He came here from West Germany some 20 years ago. He trained there as a barrister, but he worked in London as a sub-editor for Butterworths, the law publishers. And our reconstruction begins there on Monday, the 18th of September, just off the Strand. Christoph Schliack had asked for the afternoon off work. He gave no reason, but it was something he often did. His colleagues thought he may have had a drink problem. He left at lunchtime and probably took the Central Line to Shepherd's Bush. He dressed distinctively with a waistcoat and gold pocket watch, a trilby hat and monocle. He carried a book to read in a green carrier bag. On this Monday, it was Oblomov by the Russian writer Goncharov. Once at Shepherd's Bush, he would probably have walked across the green towards the Bush pub. Christoph was a regular in the pubs around Shepherd's Bush. At about 3 o'clock, he was joined by another regular in the pub.
What, no work today?
Oh, I have taken the afternoon off. Would you like a drink?
I'd love one.
They chatted for an hour, and she remembers he was in good spirits. Later that afternoon, a witness saw Christoph leave with two men. At about 5 o'clock, he was seen in the White Horse pub nearby on the Uxbridge Road.
Is my sandwich ready yet?
He was sitting alone, reading. But later on, witnesses remember him chatting with two men and buying them rounds of drinks.
Him again? It's a diamond jar.
The barmaid recalls he ordered the same 3 drinks throughout the evening.
Please, vodka and Coke, pint of Guinness and a pint of lager. Thank you, my dear.
At about 8 o'clock, an argument took place.
I am offended by that remark. I am totally disgusted with you.
He stormed off, but was next seen calmly chatting to one of the locals. Then a disagreement broke out over at the pool table. Someone tried to jump the queue.
I'm on next.
No, I don't think so. What's your name?
Sam, I'm on the board.
No, you're not up next.
It was the man in the black leather jacket who'd been sitting with Christoph. He called himself Sam, and witnesses recognised a strong Dublin accent. The landlord came over to sort the problem out.
Is your name Sam?
Yeah.
You're 10th in line on the pool table, OK.
Right.
Shortly afterwards, Christoph must have left the White Horse. No one saw him go, nor the two men he'd been with, but he left his carrier bag containing his book and his pipe. Sometime before 9:30 that night, he went across the road to the Premier Food and Wine shop. As well as the cider, he bought a packet of cigarettes.
Thank you, my friend.
Christoph only ever smoked a pipe, so who were the cigarettes for? It could well have been his companions in the pub. He was seen with two men like them walking towards his home.
I'm sorry, my friend, for interrupting the conversation.
Don't worry.
That's the last known witness to have seen Christoph Schliack alive. At about 10:15, an off-duty woman police constable noticed a man in blood-stained clothes walking briskly up the Uxbridge Road. The next day, Peter Tolhurst found 2 carrier bags and a jacket had been thrown through a pane of glass into his greenhouse. As he lived across the street from the police station on the Uxbridge Road, he reported his findings to the desk sergeant.
I don't know whether you're interested, but I found these in my garden. There's an awful lot of blood on them.
Except for one item, a shirt, the bags contained blood-stained clothes and linen belonging to Christoph Schliack. Later that day, police discovered his body in his flat. He'd been stabbed. Now, Colin Wright had said there was a shirt that did not belong to Christoph, possibly the murderer's. This is a replica. The other one, the real one, is not in a fit condition to be shown here. Quite distinctive, this, isn't it?
That's right, Nick. This was found, in fact, in the bags thrown through the greenhouse. It's quite a distinctive motif, although not unique.
Now, these buttons have been sewn on, obviously not by somebody who's a very good seamstress.
That's right. Again, I mean, they stand out. Black button on the bottom and a brown one on the cuff.
And it was pretty dirty when you got it, not just because it had blood on it, but it was just a dirty shirt. Very dirty.
Very grubby. Around the collar there was a thick black tide mark. Looked as if a man had been wearing it for a few days.
Right. The neck size, it's a medium-sized shirt. Obviously, thousands and thousands of these were made. You're not interested in people telling you where they are, who's got them, only if somebody can link it to a man of the right description. Now, the description we've got an artist's impression done by that police officer.
We have,
who saw the man walking down the Uxbridge Road. That's her impression of him. We know he's what? He's tallish.
He's about 5'10". He's got dark curly hair.
OK, let's now look at the descriptions of the men in the pub. Now, this is the younger man.
That's right. He's got a ruddy complexion. He's about 25 to 28, of medium build, light brown, wavy hair, down to his collar. And we know he spoke with a noticeable Dublin accent.
And a lot of Irish people are in that pub, so they're going to be right about the geography.
Yes, they were bang on with that.
And the older man also probably had a Dublin accent, we think. Grey hair, medium build.
Not a very good description, but the two together, it may just stick in the mind of somebody.
OK, well, if there's any way in which you think you can help, please do call us. Christoph Schliack, if you knew him, you might have known him as Christoph Schliack. This is the number to call, 01 811 8055. Or you can call the Kensington Incident Room on 01741 6212. That's 01741 6212.
Well, I'm pleased to say there have been developments on all 3 of our reconstructions from last month's programme. Police were appealing for information about the murder of 18-year-old Michelle Waring. You may remember Michelle had spent a Saturday night out with friends in Wigan where she lived, and she'd left a disco in the town in the small hours of Sunday, September the 10th. Now, following that programme, a man has now been charged with her murder. He appeared in court on Tuesday and he's been remanded in custody.
There were about 70 calls offering information on the raid on the travel agents in Newcastle upon Tyne. As a result, police are now following new lines of inquiry. And there was a tremendous response about the series of attacks on women around Barnes in southwest London. We had information from more than 300 viewers on this, and as a result, there are several new leads, one of which, the police say, looks particularly promising.
And a man has been arrested as a direct result of our programme back in July. The flying squad were investigating a raid on a betting shop in South London, and we showed a video of the attack in progress. A viewer rang in to name a suspect who is now being charged with robbery. And there's more news from that same programme, though this time not as a result of calls to Crimewatch. The authorities in Morocco have arrested a man in Casablanca in connection with the death of Sandy Douglas. Sandy had been stabbed at her home in Aycliffe in County Durham back in May. The matter has now been referred to the Crown Prosecution Service.
Well, now our film and photo file of people police would like to interview. With photo call, his Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, my colleagues from Orpington in South London need to trace Adam Barnes. He may have information about the murder of David Amner, who was shot dead on Sunday the 22nd of October at Bredgar House in Petton Grove, Orpington. Adam Barnes is 22, 5 foot 7 inches tall, slim with blonde hair which may be darkened by now. If you know where he is, please call us straight away. This next man is wanted by Avon and Somerset Police. He's caught here on the 10th of October by the security camera at the Bristol and West Building Society in Gloucester Road, Bristol. He threatened 3 female staff with a kitchen knife and took over £3,000 cash and cheques worth up to £20,000. He escaped on foot and is described as 6 foot 2 inches tall, slim build with gaunt features. If you look closely, you can see he has a tattoo on his right arm. He may have robbed another branch of the same building society in White Ladies Gate, Bristol, 3 weeks earlier. So if you recognise him, please get in touch. Mohammed Farouk Ashraf is a self-employed renovator from South Norwood, South London. During the last week of December last year, Mr Ashraf booked into the Station Hotel, Aberdeen. He was reported missing from the hotel on the 7th of January this year, and a subsequent search of the area found a jeep he'd been using smashed at the foot of steep cliffs at Cove, Aberdeen. Despite an intensive search of the surrounding area by boat and helicopter, a body was never found. Further police inquiries suggest that Mr Ashraf may not have died in the accident, and Grampian police are interested in any sightings of him since the 7th of January this year. And finally, South Yorkshire Police need your help to find this man. On Wednesday the 19th of July, he went into the National Westminster Bank, High Street, Doncaster, and tried to withdraw £2,500. He showed a false passport as proof of identity, but left it behind when bank staff got suspicious. The passport had been issued to a woman calling herself Mrs Susan Mary Jackman. She may have information that could help us. This case may be linked to a series of similar offences which has netted over £500,000. If you recognise this man or any of our other photo call faces, please get in touch.
And here's the number, if there's anyone you recognise, 01811 8055, 01811 8055.
We have a studio full of antiques and bric-a-brac this month, property which has been waiting around in police stations for owners to claim it. It comes from all over the UK, so if you've had a burglary, something here may be yours. And in our Aladdin's cave, Eric Knowles.
Thank you, Sue. Well, as you're probably aware, we don't have an Aladdin's cave every programme, so that makes them that little bit special. Now, I'm not the sort of chap that goes in for personal jewellery, but if I did, I wouldn't mind putting my cufflinks away in this rather fine German cabinet from the late 18th century. As you can see, it's got lots of little fitted compartments and a glazed two front drawers and a row there of drawers. Very nice indeed. Staying in the 18th century, you know that you've made it in life if you get up in the morning and have breakfast and you pour sugar onto your cornflakes from an object like this. A fabulous Georgian silver sugar sifter. And here's just one example. There are in actual 2 others, slightly smaller smaller in size. Now, from the Georgian period to the period of William and Mary. And here we find a fine walnut long case clock with some particular ornate marquetry work. Now I see here there's a small bird and he's flying against a flower vase. The leaves are picked out with green staining. Now the marquetry on the next object is nowhere near as fine, but there again it's a good 100 years or so earlier. Probably from North Italy or South Germany. As you can see, it's a cabinet with a fold-down front, and there's an arrangement of drawers. The central one has got a crucifix. Now, out of one of these drawers, the police actually retrieved this red wax seal. Now, do you recognise the coat of arms on that seal? If you do, let us know. Now, for all you porcelain buffs out there, I know what you're thinking, that's a first period Worcester vase if ever I saw one, but sorry, you're wrong. It's that Mr. Sampson again of Paris, and this is a later copy, probably dates from around about 1890, 1900, and it's missing its cover. Now, from a fake to the fabulous, here we see a Regency bangle, and diamonds in this case really are a girl's best friend. So we see in the front here, there's a lovely turquoise cabochon, and just look at those diamonds that surround it. Obviously worth a bob or two. Now, from the expensive to the poignant, the highly personal, and you can't get more personal than this object. It says on the spine the last letters from France, and they are from Lance Corporal W.T. Clements of the East Surreys. Now, Clements, we know, was an Islington man, and inside this volume is a wonderful history which relates to letters he sent back from the front and various other ephemera. There are even the man's school reports in here. So a very touching object. Now, from the poignant to the pointless. I mean, I can't understand anybody who'd actually want this, but it is a horse's hoof and it has been made into an ashtray. I mean, what's the point of having one? You really do need a set of 4. That leads me very nicely to the next object, which, as you can see, is actually missing a hoof. Now, this is a spelter figure. It probably dates from about 1890, and it's continental. But the interesting thing is the base. Now, this base has probably been made in the last 20 or 30 years. Do you recognise your own handiwork? Do you remember making this plinth for your knight in shining armour? Now, staying with a horsey theme, here's an oil painting that's signed J.F. Herring, 1860, but please look at the composition. You see the ducks down in the bottom corner and the groomsmen leading the horses down a country lane. There are hundreds of herrings out there, both Herring Senior and Herring Junior. A lot of them are fakes. This one, I have to say, I'm a little bit dubious about. Now, one thing I'm not dubious about is this barometer. It actually shouts, I am a Victorian barometer and I'm made of oak, and there's some lovely carving on it. You can see the ivy leaves in there. It's by John Browning of London, and I notice that it's reading dry. And if you're driving this Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, take heed. You stay dry. Please don't drink and drive over Christmas.
And here's the number if there's anything you think that you recognise there. 018118055 is the number in the studio, or you can call the Sussex Police Antiques Unit direct on 0273 606 744. That's 0273, the code for Brighton, 606 744.
No rare coins in that collection, but our next reconstruction is the extraordinary case of the abduction and robbery of a prominent international coin dealer. The theft had been carefully planned, but 3 men were spotted acting suspiciously on the morning it happened. Actors play the parts of the thieves, the victim and the witnesses in our film, which starts at Piccadilly in London. Ronald Gillio is an internationally known coin dealer. He'd come to England from California for a week of meetings and to go to some of the most prestigious coin exhibitions. At around midday on Saturday, October the 14th, he checked out of the Cavendish Hotel in Jermyn Street. He had just one more exhibition to visit before leaving the country. He was going to Coinex, a coin fair held every year at a hotel on the corner of Duke Street and Grosvenor Square in Mayfair.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Are you checking in?
No, I'm going to the coin fair. Can you arrange to have my bag stored till I'm ready to leave?
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
Right.
There,
Yeah, it's just second 5.
1684. What do they want for this?
£4.5 pounds.
Outside the hotel that morning, a witness remembers seeing a blue Ford Orion with 3 men sitting in it. A taxi driver who works in that area saw the Orion several times during the morning. He's sure it was parked there when he started work at 7:30.
Get me a cab, please. I want to go to Heathrow.
Certainly, sir.
That taxi driver picked up Ronald Gillio as he left Coinex.
Heathrow driver, please.
Thanks for your help.
Safe journey, sir. Thank you.
Which terminal do you want to go to?
Either 1 or 2. I'm going to Switzerland. But can we call in at Terminal 4? Because I want to leave my large suitcase at the British Airways desk.
No problem. I'll wait while you check your luggage in.
Great.
Ronald Gillio had made arrangements earlier that week to fly to Switzerland before going back to California.
Oh my God, what have I done?
Police, will you remain in the taxi, please?
Are you Ronald Gillio? Yes. Do you have any identification?
Yes, sir.
Is it him?
Yeah. We have to arrest you for drug and currency violations. Get out, handcuff him. If that's
insane! There must be someone
What about that?
Can't hold
Who
me
are they?
station
They're
on
the
Monday
police.
and they'll arrange that, but don't call me for because you won't be on the computer yet. Come on, give us a hand.
Being a visitor to the country, Ronald has no idea where he was taken, but he was driven around for nearly an hour. The men told him they were taking him to a North London police station to continue their inquiries, but as time went on, he became increasingly concerned.
So how much further is the police station?
Just a few more miles.
There's nothing but farms around here. So where's the station?
We'll be coming to a built-up area soon, you'll see.
Those must be expensive, huh?
They cost around $700,000. So we couldn't afford them on our pay.
We've been driving for long enough now. We should be at the station from what you told me. What are we doing here? You're not police, are you?
Turn around. Turn around! Stand there and stay there and you won't have a hole in the back of your head.
Ronald Gillio was left beside a field in Arkley near Barnet. The bogus policeman drove away with £50,000 worth of antique coins. Three weeks later, Ronald Gillio's stolen coins began to surface. A man sold 2 of them here at Dolphin Coins in Hampstead on the 7th of November.
Those for me. This belongs to my mother.
Austrian 100 Coronas. How much do you need for those, sir?
Oh, make me an offer.
I can pay you £500 today.
That's all right, fine.
Is that okay?
Afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Have a look at those for me.
Yes, of course.
Then the next day, on the 8th of November, the same man returned with some rare Japanese coins, which police are certain were in Ronald Gillio's collection. The man promised to fax details of more from his home in Brussels.
For these coins here, I can pay you £400, sir.
That's fine.
Okay? Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, all the best. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Well, Detective Inspector Steve Hagger is in charge of this investigation. Now, incidents where criminals pose as policemen are not uncommon, but what should have been the giveaways in that case?
Well, real police officers would not have handcuffed a person in these circumstances or referred to drug violations. So I think this arrest was tailor-made for Mr. Gillio, an American citizen.
Yes, it was a very American sort of term, wasn't it, violation?
Yes. Also, they told the cab driver to go to Holborn Police Station to collect his fare, and this isn't normal police practice.
So what's your advice then to anyone in the unlikely event that they are stopped by bogus policemen or they have doubts about who they're being stopped by?
Well, if you're unhappy with the identity of any official, try to verify it in some way and perhaps get uniform officers there. In the last resort, to stay locked in your car and tell the officials that you're going to go to a police station, and in fact do that, drive to a police station.
And the police, they won't penalise you for that?
No, they'll understand.
Right. Now, the witnesses have given us descriptions of 3 men altogether. The first 2 are of men who were seen sitting in that blue Ford Orion on the morning outside the hotel of the Coinex exhibition. What do they look like?
Yes, this first man, the one with the moustache, was called George by the accomplices. He is about 30 to 35 years old, 5'6" to 5'8", and has wavy curly hair, as you see there.
And the driver is the next one?
The driver is older. He's about 40, 45, 6 foot tall, and we think he's the leader of the men.
What about the man who was 3 weeks later went to sell some of those stolen coins?
Well, yes, we really need to speak to him. He may, of course, be a genuine buyer who's just selling the coins on. But here he is. He's 40 to 45, which is perhaps older than that photo fit makes him look. He's 5'10" and stocky build.
Right. Have any more of the coins turned up?
No more have turned up. There's about 100 still outstanding. One of them alone is worth £10,000, this coin here.
Right. 12.27. And several others of lesser value?
Yes, there's still, I say, over 100 coins, American gold coins and early Japanese coins, which have been circulated to coin dealers. Right. They have the list.
That one there is worth about £400, I believe.
That's right.
Right. The blue Ford Orion car, do you have any information on that, where it came from?
We don't know anything about that. Witnesses say that it has an F registration, and we urgently need to speak to people who either saw it in Duke Street on the morning of the 14th of October, or on the M4 at Junction 3 where it was stopped, or in fact I think it could be a hired car. So anybody who's hired a blue Ford Orion to the men you've seen in the photo fit, we urgently need to hear from them.
Right. And finally, the men drove off with Mr. Gillio's luggage in the boot. Has that turned up yet?
No, none of his possessions have turned up, and his suitcase is very distinctive. It's a Louis Vuitton style suitcase with a very distinctive pattern. Also, his credit cards and passports are still missing. If anyone's found them, please ring. Right.
Mr. Hagger, thank you very much. If you have found any of that, if you can help in any way, these are the numbers to phone: 01811 8055, direct to the studio. D.I. Hagger and some of his colleagues will be waiting here for your call. Or you can phone Barnet Police Station in London direct on 01200 2212. That's 01200 2212.
Already tonight, there's a fairly high volume of calls on the Christoph Schliack case. A lot of people ringing in with information which may prove useful about that shirt. Of course, we're trying to find the man who was also seen walking down the Uxbridge Road with blood on a T-shirt. He may have nothing to do with the case, so he needs to be eliminated if so. There have been several possible sightings of Adam Barnes, and finally police are reporting what they describe as a very promising lead indeed on Mr. Ashraf, whose car, if you remember, was found at the bottom of a cliff near Aberdeen. We've some more news from last month's programme too. You may remember this man, Paul Bennett, sought by Grampian police in connection with a major fraud. Or at least you might recall the appeal for sightings of his helicopter, a White Hughes 500D. Its registration, Golf, Oscar, India, Oscar Whiskey. It seems that Crimewatch reaches places ordinary investigations find it hard to reach. 3 callers, quite separately, said that they'd seen the helicopter in Miami. Police have checked with the authorities in Florida, and inquiries are now concentrated in the United States.
And we appealed in April for information on the whereabouts of a man wanted in connection with stolen cheques in the Oxford area. As a result of that appeal, a man was sentenced earlier this month to 2.5 years imprisonment after pleading guilty to 14 offences of burglary, theft and fraud. He also asked for 417 other offences to be taken into consideration.
Well, now to Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly. Here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, police in South London are trying to trace a man who's raped 3 elderly women. The attacks took place between Boxing Day 1988 and the 7th of October this year in the victims' own homes. 2 lived in the same block of flats in Southwark and the 3rd in Rotherhithe, a couple of miles away. One of the women was beaten unconscious and left for dead. The rapist, though, is about 25 years old, 5'6" tall and of stocky build. He has straight black hair, a crooked nose and brown moles or spots on his chest. He was scruffily dressed in dirty jeans and trainers. He also smelled strongly of alcohol, and he's a smoker. Before leaving, the rapist stole cash, and in the most recent case, he also stole a jumper, very much like this one. We're anxious to trace him before he strikes again, so please let us know if you have any information. Next, colleagues in Spark Hill in Birmingham want your help to trace a team of robbers who could be responsible for at least 3 armed raids at Asian jewellers in the Midlands. At 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 21st of November, 3 masked men forced their way into Kanji Jutha Jewellers in Stratford Road, Spark Hill. They threatened staff with wooden staves and stole £50,000 worth of gold jewellery. The haul including Asian wedding sets similar to these. Each item is unique and engraved with JKJ 916. Have you been offered any similar pieces? As the robbers left, one took his mask off. He's between 30 and 35 years old with thinning dark hair and a beer belly. They drove off in a stolen Vauxhall Astra. It was abandoned 3/4 of a mile away on waste ground off Homer Road in Balsall Heath. If you recognise this man or have any information about the robbers, please call us now. Next, my colleagues in London are looking for 2 men disguised as postmen who attacked an 83-year-old woman and stole about £300,000 worth of jewellery and antiques from her flat in Eaton Square. This malachite jewelled clock was among the items taken, as was a unique ladies' satinwood travelling box. It was specially made in the 19th century and has Mary written in diamonds on it. The snuff and trinket boxes around it on this table were stolen with it. They also took a 3-inch high ivory Buddha similar to this one. Unknown to the attackers, as they went into the block of flats, they were caught on video camera. One of the men is black, 6 foot 3 inches and heavy build. He's in his 20s with short afro hair. The other man is also black and in his mid-20s, but he's only 5 foot 7 inches tall, of medium build and has very prominent eyes. There is a reward for information leading to arrest and conviction, so if you can help, please get in touch. Finally, at about 4 p.m. on Saturday the 26th of August, a customer drove into the Leyland Road petrol station in Penwortham, Lancashire. Without warning, a man brandishing a knife appeared at the driver's window and ordered him out of the car. The hijacker then drove off in the blue Ford Sierra, registration number A465HBG. We think he may have driven to the Midlands. About 4 hours later, the Sierra was dumped near Woolly Edge service station. Now, that's on the northbound carriageway of the M1 near Wakefield. The man then approached 2 people in a green Cortina parked near the service station and tried to steal their car, again threatening them with a knife. However, they managed to scare him off. Now, he's described as in his 30s, 5 foot 8 inches tall with dark collar-length hair, and he has an Irish accent. In his escape, though, he dropped this green holdall with Daily Mail written across the top and Air New Zealand along the bottom. Inside were some clothes, toiletries and this camera. However, the twist in this tale is that when we developed the film from the camera, we found this photo. Do you recognise this man? He may have vital information about these incidents and West Yorkshire Police would like to speak to him. If you've any information, then please call us now.
And a reminder of the number to ring if you can help with that or any of our incident desk cases, 01 811 8055. 01 811 8055.
A lot of viewers are ringing in to say they recognise the crest found in the chest in Aladdin's cave. Got many more calls on the Schliack case now coming in with, I'm told, some quite hopeful leads and several sightings of the mystery passport faces in Manchester. Now, in recent months on Crimewatch, we've seen the remarkable effectiveness of an anti-bandit measure used by several security firms. It's a cash container that, if it's stolen, automatically activates an internal smoke device. Red dye billows out of the container, which marks anyone who handles it. What's more, it renders valueless any money that's inside. A month ago, a smoke box proved itself again. It foiled a robbery on Merseyside, but police want Crimewatch viewers to help find those responsible for the attack. The robbery took place in Southport, the seaside town midway between Liverpool and Blackpool. 2 days before it happened, preparations were underway. A red Maestro was stolen from the car park of the Prince of Wales Hotel. The next day, some 30 miles away in Manchester, a Montego was taken from the Tesco car park at Walkden. It's Saturday, October the 14th, at the Molescop Trading Estate back in Southport. At 4:30 in the afternoon, Securicorps arrived to make a collection from Texas Home Care. A witness remembers two men wearing what appear to be false beards and holding a lady's umbrella.
Drop the box! Now! On the floor! On the floor! Go on!
Come on, let's go! Come on, let's go! Come on!
A witness alerted the police as the gunman left the scene. Within seconds, the smoke box activated. The robbers turned onto waste ground behind Allied carpets. Then, only 200 yards from where the cash box had been seized, they stopped to open it.
Come on! All right, come on!
It took them several minutes to hack it open, and though they eventually reached the money, it was drenched in indelible red dye. As they made off, they turned through a gap that had been blocked 2 days before. Someone had removed a large and heavy boulder. The Montego was later found abandoned in Wennington Road. Did you see the robbers at about 5 p.m? The other car, the stolen Maestro, was found on Wright Street, close to Southport Station. Maybe it was used as a second getaway car. It bore false number plates that had been made up in Manchester.
Could you do me a vehicle check, please? It's Bravo 779, Tango Uniform Bravo. Over.
9 months earlier, on Friday, the 21st of January, there'd been a similar raid at W.H. Smith's Do-It-All in Derby Street. Here too, robbers used disguises.
Drop the box! Drop the box!
They fled in a white Mark IV Cortina, which had been stolen that afternoon from outside Ormskirk swimming baths. This time the container was empty and wasn't activated. The Cortina was later found abandoned on the car park at Southport Station. 3 men were seen running away. Trains leave Southport every hour for Manchester and Liverpool. Maybe these 2 robberies were linked, and maybe the gunman escaped by rail. Now, we've got a fair description, Mr. MacDonald, of the gunman, haven't we?
That's right, there is a good description of the gunman. He's described as in his 30s. He's 5'8" to 5'10", stocky build with a roundish face.
Though that beard, we suspect, is fraudulent.
That is
it's
correct,
false,
yes.
It's a disguise. Yes. There are 3 in the gang. You think one was staying in the car all the time?
That's right. One remained with the vehicle all the time. The other 2 men got out, and the gunman committed the offence.
Now, that blue Montego, the one that was stolen from the Tesco in Walkden, how can people help trace the gang through that car?
Yes, the vehicle was stolen from Manchester, and left in its place was a dark brown Triumph Toledo,
and it is possible that the driver of that vehicle may well have seen the men stealing the getaway car. And we're anxious to trace this man.
OK, so if you parked a brown Toledo in the Tesco Walkden car park on Friday the 13th, just after lunchtime, wasn't it? 2:15?
That's correct, 2:15 on the Friday.
Sometime after that, please do call us. It was abandoned, as we saw on that road, at sort of bollards. Presumably the idea was they would swap cars and stop a police chase continuing.
That's correct, and it is believed that they then jumped into another vehicle, a red Maestro. That vehicle was driven into the town centre and later found abandoned in Wright Street, which is very near the railway station.
Now, as we showed with that car, it was stolen from a hotel on Thursday, so somewhere it was held for 2 days.
That's correct, yes.
The number plates
When it was
changed,
found, yes, it was found with false plates on it.
What were the real plates first?
The real number of the vehicle was C325 XYG.
C325 XYG, that's the real one, and they changed it to this?
To B779 TUB. That's correct. Those plates were made up in Manchester area.
Right. What do you think of this gang, Mr. McDonald?
Well, they're obviously very dangerous. Someone out there knows who these people are apart from themselves. They showed no regard for the people. They fired a gun in the first instance, which was discharged, and there were many people around at the time, including children.
OK, well, if you think you can help in any way, please call us 01811 8055, or you can try the incident room in Southport on 051 708 8772. 051, the code for Liverpool, 708 8772.
Well, we're getting a large number of calls this evening. There have been suggestions of a number of names in the coin dealer case and a few leads on the man who raped 3 elderly ladies in Southwark and Rotherhithe in South London. Somebody on Aladdin's Cave has claimed both the horse without the hoof, and somebody's even owned up to the hoof itself, the silver hoof ashtray. But that's it for now. If you're sitting at home thinking you might know something about one of the cases you've seen this evening, but that your information perhaps seems too vague or insignificant to be of use, do pick up the phone, because very often it's just a tiny detail that makes everything else make sense. Our lines are open till midnight. If you'd like to write to us, the address is Crimewatch UK, BBC Television, London, W12 7RJ. That and the police phone numbers are on CFAX if you have it, page 618. And we're back in an hour's time with the news so far, our update programme. And I'll be back here again tomorrow with more progress reports on Daytime Live. That'll be shortly after midday.
Well, the next Crime Watch is a month from now, but meantime, with Christmas approaching, do take care of your possessions if you go out for a celebration meal or a drink. Keep your briefcase in sight, loop the strap of your handbag round your arm or your chair. Don't let a thief spoil the year's end for you. Let me leave you with these headlines. Disturbing stuff. But if you read the small print, you'll discover the headlines are pretty misleading. Some, and maybe all, of the so-called increase in crime can be explained by more people being willing to report it to the police. So don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
See you next year.